letter written by Srila Prabhupada. This was the incident that was happening in New Vrindavan, where the four sannyasis were speaking something nonsense. And Prabhupada doesn't mention their names, but we exactly know what happened there. So we'll go along the letter and then we'll end it with that. So,
before you go there, let me only mention they were doing that in Los Angeles after Rath Yatra. They were keeping Prabhupada a prisoner in his room, wouldn't let him have his mail, wouldn't let him have anything except food. And then they went to Detroit, where my ex-wife was from. I went there, we went there with them. Then they went to Boston, went there with them. Then they went to New Vrindavan, and we went there also. That's when we had the festival and where we first saw the resurrection of Miniature. Go ahead.
Okay, so this letter is dated to Hayagriva Prabhu, and this is a correspondence from Srila Prabhupada for September 14th, 1970. Rupa Manjari Prabhu, can you read it? Prabhu, you're the best reader here. So.
Sure. My dear Hayagriva, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated August 31st, 1970, and noted the contents. I am very glad to know that the GBC is actively working to rectify the subversive situation which has been weakening the very foundation of our society. All you members of the GBC, please always remain very vigilant in this connection so that our society's growth may go on unimpeded by such poisonous elements. Your preaching in New Vrindavan, as well as intensified study of our literatures with seriousness, is very much encouraging. Please continue this program with vigor and reestablish the solidity of our movement. From the very beginning, I was strongly against the impersonalists, and all my books are stressed on this point. So my oral instruction as well as my books are all at your service. Now you GBC consult them and get clear and strong idea, then there will be no disturbance. Disturbance is caused by ignorance. Where there is no ignorance, there is no disturbance. The four sannyasis may bark, but still the caravan will pass. There is every evidence that they are influenced by some of my fourth-class godbrothers.
That is true.
Regarding India, first of all, I am trying to fix up a center in Calcutta, and then I shall call you as your presence is needed. In the meantime, go on constructing New Vrindavan. If there is opportunity, try to convince these rascal sannyasis who are misled by fourth-class men that if they at all want to have a change of leadership, why do they not select a better leader than at present moment? What is the use of finding out a fourth-class leader who has no asset as their background? I am simply sorry that such intelligent boys are misusing their brain substance in this way. Try to rectify them as far as possible. Ishanadas has inquired from Tamal regarding Tirtha Maharaj. I do not know what is the sequence of this inquiry, but it is clear that there is a great clique, and the so-called sannyasis are the via media of spreading contamination in our society. It is a very sorry plight. Hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Hari Bol, Jai. Such a powerful letter. Narayan Prabhu, can you comment? Well, first of all, I'll comment because here, this part I want to highlight here, actually, which is still going on from 1970. Is Prabhupada says, I do not know what is the sequence of this inquiry, but it is very clear that there is a great clique, and the so-called sannyasis are the via media for spreading contamination in our society. You know, so
yes.
What were they actually doing?
Well, it was hard to say. What they were doing is they were going from place to place. Wherever they went, they stayed in a tight group, practically almost talking to each other's ear, saying, Prabhupada is God, Prabhupada is God. They didn't say much more than that. They didn't offer any philosophy or rationale. They just said, Prabhupada is God, like as though they were bewitched. Well, it turns out they were bewitched. That and Tirtha Maharaj, he said Ishana had been talking to Tirtha Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhupada is saying Ishan Prabhu has inquired from Tamal regarding Tirtha Maharaj. So whatever Ishan Das Prabhu was asking about Tirtha Maharaj was suspicious of what was going on. Yes, Prabhupada is suspecting, or he's saying this is going on.
Yeah. So what happened is that apparently I was told by an authoritative person who's spent a lot of time in that part of the world that the Prabhupada's godbrothers, the ones that so many devotees after July 9th wanted to go and become disciples of, or take sannyas from, or get empowered to be gurus from, and stuff like that. They went to those godbrothers, Tirtha, named Kunja Babu, in the Yogapeeth, meaning the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Then Madhava Maharaj was sort of like halfway down the road at a temple, and several others, and they hired a evil yogi, Brahmin, sort of evil Brahmin yogi, to do pujas, to evoke a Brahmabhuta, meaning a ghost of a evil Brahmin.
Right.
We don't normally think of Brahmins as being evil, but they can be. You know, Shivites and stuff like that. There's all sorts of.
Right.
In India, if you want to know the truth about, do they have any of those in India? And like I say, I'll save you some time. They have one of everything in each thing in India. You want something, they have one of them there, yes, for sure. Maybe 100 of them, maybe 1,000, or maybe 1,000,000, but they have at least one. So if you're looking for an evil Brahmabhuta, they've got plenty of those. So they found out the Brahmabhuta, they did sacrifices, gave them unclean offerings and stuff like that until the Brahmabhuta was satisfied. Then they infested Achyutananda, who Prabhupada didn't want to write. Prabhupada told him not to publish the Vaishnava songbook because he had polluted the verses in that book. But he published it anyhow. He said, Prabhupada already published it. You can't tell me not to publish it. That was another thing. So Achyutananda was close to Madhava Maharaj, so he used to hang out with them when Prabhupada wasn't there, because they treated him like a little god, you know, a dancing white elephant. He was their pet to get money and followers, right? You have an American, and there he is dancing and chanting, dancing white elephant. So what they did was they came, and the Brahmabhuta was transferred into his ear from the snarky, evil Brahmin that they had hired to do this. They paid them money, of course, so God knows what. Bloody sacrifice of some sort. And then Achyutananda called up on the telephone, called up Brahmananda. Hi, Brahmananda. And he did this. He transferred psychically from the third eye, transferred the Brahmabhuta into Brahmananda's ear. And Brahmananda was standing next to Gargamuni. He got to Gargamuni's ear. And they got to Vishnu Jan. And they got to Subal, who was, in a sense, an innocent bystander that got caught up in it. And as far as I know, he wasn't a very political guy. He was just a very mediocre sort of guy. And he got caught up in it. And Ishan somehow got caught up in it too, because with Ishan in New Vrindavan, he was caught up in it. I'm very fond of Ishan, but people can get trapped by things. You know, Ishan was a fairly eccentric dude. Maybe we can ask him about it someday. But the thing is that what happened is that that they started going around saying Prabhupada is God. Well, why did they want to do that? Why did Madhava Maharaj and Kunja Babu, meaning Tirtha Maharaj, why did they want people going around, Prabhupada's disciples, saying that Prabhupada was God? Very simple reason. Very simple reason. They would say, here we are with the Gaudiya Math. We have given the vow never to call ourselves Prabhupada. We're here to be the true disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. We are preaching according to the Vaishnava standard. Here he goes off on a boat, goes to New York City, becomes sort of a hippie rock star guru, and next you know they're saying that he's God. He wanted to, because when people go to America, Yogananda or Vivekananda, they always ended up calling the spiritual master God because he's an impersonator.
Right. Yes.
You can do that. Brahman means God. So if you're a Kanista Adhikari, if you're not a Vaishnava, you can say, yes, I'm God, I'm Brahman, because I've reached that platform. But we say Achinta Veda Veda Tattva, simultaneously, inconceivably, one and different than God. It means we are God, but infinitesimal part and parcel, we don't merge into the gigantic energy of an impersonal God. Okay, leaving that aside. So they started saying, so the whole idea was to call Prabhupada God. It would completely destroy credibility of ISKCON in India. So
Right.
they're saying he's God. They say that Prabhupada is God. He goes there, and after a couple of years, Prabhupada is God. That's what they wanted. They knew it wasn't true because they paid for it. They paid probably pretty good money for the lie. But they did, and it worked. They got him. So then they came to Vrindavan, and we went through a whole ordeal for like 3 weeks there. And finally, we resolved it. They kicked them out. Somehow they were kicked out. They went out of there, cut off their sikas, cut off their neck beads, took away their beads, everything, and sent them out of Vrindavan on foot. Didn't even give them a ride, and beat them with sticks as they walked out down the path. We were so pissed off because of what they had done to our consciousness. So first of all, had turned upside down. People were just completely going crazy. And
Wow.
Karanda would come up to me and said, "Do you believe that Prabhupada is God?" I say, "No, Karanda, I don't believe Prabhupada is God. You're supposed to be carrying all of Prabhupada." They came up with a standard. If you didn't accept Prabhupada as God, you had to carry all of Prabhupada's books. Fortunately, back then, it wasn't that many books, maybe 10. And everybody walked around New Vrindavan carrying 10 books. If you didn't carry 10 books, they suspected you of having joined the four sannyasis. That's how crazy it got. And I told you all about the pinworms. But anyhow, leaving that aside, we finally went through a whole thing. Hayagriva was empowered by Krishna to take us through the entire process of understanding. I don't even remember what he did or how he did it. All I know is that it was not as much spirit. It was spiritual in the sense of being transcendental, but he took us through with argument, with Shastra, etc. But it wasn't like proving something. It was just we had to go through the process of regaining our sense that Prabhupada was not God, but that he was Prabhupada. Because although we didn't accept that he was God, we were poisoned, polluted. We were psychically and psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually polluted, which can happen. That's why we don't associate it with non-devotees.
Wow.
So at the very end, there was a wedding. At the end of like 3 weeks or whatever, there was it was Janmashtami. There was a wedding, Janmashtami festival, and we had a big fire sacrifice. We'd gotten through the whole process. We kicked out the four sannyasis, and we were feeling relieved. Got rid of the pinworms by thanks to the government. Gave us pinworm medicine. He said it was because of the ether had been polluted. We got pinworms, lots of them.
Wow.
So, and there were like almost 100 devotees there. So you can imagine how many pinworms were there. So anyhow, with thousands of pinworms for devotee. But anyhow, leaving that interesting factor aside, we had that festival, and a devotee there who was sort of one of the chief guys at Vrindavan, Ranadir, received a letter from Prabhupada, or the temple received it. And it was from Prabhupada in India. It had been mailed 2 weeks before.
Right.
Okay? And here we are, still, all of us, in a very weird astral state of mind, completely discombobulated from the psychic attack we have had from the Brahmabhuta coming out of the mouths of Brahmananda, Gargamuni, Vishnu, John, and Vishal.
Subal.
Not Vishal,
Subal.
So we went through all of that, and we were all very edgy, it's like coming down from a LSD trip or something. We were all very just really our nerves were right on end. And we were sitting there in front of the sacred fire. Believe it or not, and you will believe it, the sacred fire for that wedding was also a Janmashtami sacred fire, and it purified the ether, right?
Right.
It was beautiful. And Ranadir came out with the letter, and it said, I can't give you verbatim, but it said essentially, my dear boys and girls, please accept my blessing. I am very pleased and satisfied that you have resolved this issue and that now the situation has been resolved. So we thank you very much and my blessing, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. That was the gist of the letter. It was largely it wasn't a very long letter. The interesting thing is, because anyone knows what the interesting part was of reading that letter from Prabhupada from India the day after this thing was resolved?
It was written 2 weeks prior.
Yes, you got it. Brilliant. Yes, it was written 2 weeks before. So Prabhupada, 2 weeks before, while we were still rising in Maya filled with pinworms, while it was all before been resolved, 2 weeks before it was at all resolved, we were in agony. He had written the letter, mailed it, and it came to just in time for the day after Hayagriva took us through the final stages. And Hayagriva took us through the final stages, and there it was. I mean, when we heard that letter, we nearly fainted because we knew it had been written 2 weeks before.
Right.
And it was written, so the Prabhupada had written it in the next room and handed it to Ranadir to bring out and read. It was like it was that current.
So,
but anyhow, it's the day that we resolved everything and we realized it was resolved, I agree, you could feel the whole energy of the whole place had resolved. And there was one guy at the back of the temple, crumpled over, weird little guy, looked like a gnome. And he said, in the voice that had been used,
Prabhupada is God.
Not like that. Prabhupada is God. That's the way they would talk. Prabhupada is God. Prabhupada is God. Like that, you know. We all turned around and stared. There he was.
Ishan Prabhu. That was Ishan Prabhu, right?
I didn't want to mention his name, but anyhow, yeah, Ishan Prabhu. He was there. He was. So we got him, beat him up, and took him out of his seat and kicked him out with the sannyasi. And his poor wife, who was such a lovely lady, very tall, elegant, looked like he was maybe Jewish or something. This Ishan, maybe he was Italian, I don't know what he was. But a little hunched over guy played trumpet. And his wife was tall and elegant, looked like a East Coast person, Nathaniel Hawthorne would have written about, you know.
Okay, it's time.
Okay, but let's see, are we completely complete on this? I think we are, but let's be sure.
So yeah, we're complete. So I just wanted to just point out that that letter was written in 1970 and how things get corrupted even when Srila Prabhupada was present, actually physically present.
Oh, it was poison.
Yeah. So
you know, by the way, it is time, and I'm sure Rupa wants to take off, of course, in spite of having done a very nice, wonderful service.
Excellent reading.
But if anybody has any questions, maybe we should stay on another 5 minutes or so.
Yes, that's what I was.
Has any issues, because this is heavy. And,
yeah. So my point in bringing it back to 2022, you know, many years later, that something like this was going on actually when Srila Prabhupada was present. And this is right during the time of the direction of management was present, you know. It is 1970. And Prabhupada...
What was the date in 1970?
This is, Prabhupada uses the term GBC also here, right here, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. This was September 14th, 1970. September 14th, 1970.
And it sounds as though it was received at New Vrindavan by somebody, right? Who is it sent to? Oh, to
Hayagriva.
Hayagriva.
Yes.
So I've been mistaken. I thought that the festival was 1971.
No.
It must have been in the fall of 70 instead of the spring of 71.
Yeah. So,
But it was September. It was before it got any snow got on the ground.
yes.
Good night,
It was
Prabhus. I'm down to
warm weather.
1%.
All right, Hare Krishna, Mahaprabhu. Nice
Hare-
to have you. I hope you like the ghost story. Hopefully, you don't
Love it.
you don't get one tonight.
Okay, I'll see you when? Wednesday, Thursday?
Sunday.
Next meet? Sunday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday with me, and Saturday with Mohit Prabhu.
Beautiful. So next one is Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, have a great night, everyone.
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Oh,
Thank you so
God
much.
bless you.
Amen.
Mahaprabhu.
All right.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Bye-bye.
Jai. So
So-
where are we?
So now, Prabhu, yeah, this is September 14, 1970. So we're just reading this incident. How many years has it been? 1970 minus
It's been 52 years.
52 years ago.
Yes.
What a coincidence, huh? It's 52 years ago, Direction of Management was written also, right?
Yeah, but I don't know what day, what day, what month the Direction of Management was written.
September.
Is Rupa still on, or she took off?
She took off. I can find it. 1 second. Direction of Management. July 28, 1970. July 28, 1970. And
Really?
yeah, well, look at
So
that.
can you find out what it was? Rath Yatra 1970? When was that? Was
Rath-
it June?
So you see here, this is the date. July 28, 1970, Direction of Management. And this letter to Hayagriva, September 14,
September.
yeah, 1970. So if it was July 28, 1970, Rath Yatra must have been on that date or before that, no?
Well, yeah, before that.
Or, okay, yeah, so I can find out. Let's see.
Or maybe after that. I don't know. It'd be no, it wouldn't be after that. It would be before that. The main point is that the sannyasis had heard that Prabhupada is God thing from the Brahmabhuta before the September when they wrote the Direction of Management.
No, the Direction of Management was July 28, 1970.
Okay, before July 28th, yeah, September was the letter to Hayagriva, right? So
Yes.
it's amazing how rapidly things happened back then, huh?
Yeah,
It would
that's what
take
I want to,
5 years for us to accomplish that much today.
yeah.
But anyhow, the direction, so the direction of, why I'm saying that is the sannyasis must have come into that problem of Prabhupada as God before the Direction of Management,
Yeah, yes, yes.
because they would have been, well, I don't know about Mr. John, but Gargamuni and Brahmananda would have been leaders in the GBC.
Hmm.
So that they were not included. So it means that they must have fallen down before the.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Because Prabhupada really liked them, or at least liked Gargamuni's managerial and making money. And
No, Brahmananda Brahmananda is the person that got Prabhupada's Gita published.
yes, so he would have been one of them, yes. So I'm drawing the lines here because we're talking about these important historical items, Direction of Management, these 4 sannyasis being possessed by Brahma Bhutas. So how things come into misunderstanding, So particularly now, the whole world is, after 52 years, the Direction of Management still hasn't been fully implemented as how Prabhupada wanted it.
None has been implemented at all.
None at all. Yes.
Well, which part has been implemented fully? Fully means partially. What part has been implemented?
They're using the name GBC.
That's typical. That's when
Mhm.
the mafia takes over your business. They keep the same business name.
So it's pretty interesting. Narayan Prabhu, that letter and that Direction of Management and all this, huh? If you think
Yeah,
about
we
it.
got to get to the root of it all.
Yeah.
So did you find out what the month was for Rath Yatra, 1970?
Okay, let me punch it in here. But Rath Yatra 1970. Okay, let's see. Right.
San Francisco. Well, there was only one Rath Yatra.
So anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube, if they'd like to participate in this historical discussions, they can join us in our WhatsApp group or send me a message or just click on the link posted in the description, and then you'll get into our group, and then you can share, comment, share your realizations, anything else.
You know, considering that this is likely to be copied and reproduced, this is an incredibly important conversation to have
Yes,
recorded.
yes. So San Francisco Rath Yatra was July 5th, 1970. Narayan Prabhu, July 5th, 1970. Let me project this on the screen so people can see the actual date here. So historically, 1970. So let's put the
So
date.
give me the, let's discuss the sequence, okay?
Yeah.
So the DOM was what date?
Put San Francisco Rath Yatra, July 5th, 1970. The direction of management was, what was it? July 28th, 1970.
Amazing. And the Nivadavan meeting was September.
Yes, September. Yes, September, what was it, 15th or something like that, I said. Let me see exactly what date.
That's really weird because I came down to Los Angeles shortly after. I came down to Los Angeles shortly after the Rath Yatra. Well, actually, it wasn't that. But it was before the four sannyasis went to New Vrindavan, because they took their time. I mean, it took about 3 weeks or 4 weeks for them to move from Los Angeles to Detroit to Boston, then to Vrindavan.
Yeah, trying to find the exact date. 1 second here. GB's 1970.
So in New Vrindavan, that's when. But the thing is, it was the date that, to Hayagriva. The festival must have been going on at least a week or two before that letter to Hayagriva.
Let's see. Oh yeah, this was September 14th. Yes, September 14, 1970 to Hayagriva.
So it must have been. They must have got there sometime in August, probably.
Yeah, could be August. Yeah, so
Would be sometime in August.
yeah.
The whole thing took about 3 weeks to develop.
So we put it together here just on our Zoom meeting, how everything went down. Direction of management, the four sannyasis being poisoned by Tirtha Maharaj, the Brahma Bhuta, and then 52 years later, 2022, they're still possessed by Brahma Bhuta. In a sense of not following Srila Prabhupada's direction.
Yeah, the Brahma Bhuta business kept on going in Mayapur because the Jayapataka, probably Bhavananda, but Jayapataka and Harikesh were getting stuff from these fake Brahmins.
Yeah, that's a very good that's a very good point you have raised again, that Jayapataka was there, I think, in 1970, or at least a little after 1970. Was Jayapataka in Mayapur in 1970? I'll have to investigate.
I think early 1970.
Okay, so he was there.
I believe. Now I've been wrong on my date by a year so far, so I'm embarrassed. But I got to Calcutta 1971.
Okay.
So he was well established there by that time.
So he must have came in 1970 or maybe 69.
Yeah, like that. It's hard
Okay.
to say what he was doing. I don't know much of his history before Calcutta.
Okay. Hmm.
When he got to Calcutta, he was running the whole place.
So Calcutta was 72 or 1971?
71,
Oh, okay.
because the first Mayapur festival was in 71,
Oh, okay. So, okay.
I believe.
Huh,
So
huh.
I got there and I got a very bad case of hepatitis, jaundice.
Hmm.
I think I told you about it. Then I turned bright orange.
Yes, yes.
Did I tell you that story?
Yes, you did.
And then I had the pink pomegranate.
Yeah.
I thought I told somebody else. Pink pomegranate seed juice from the Ayurvedic doctor.
Hmm.
I don't know. But anyhow, the fact is I had jaundice. I was so incapacitated that after I got ambulatory, after being unconscious, completely unconscious for 10 days, after nearly dying without knowing it, if you're unconscious, you don't know if you're dying or not. So I had to go and do stuff to keep up with the Chutananda, who wasn't necessarily that speedy a guy, but I was so sick I could barely walk. I had to keep a box of, glucose powder called Glaxos.
Yes, yes.
You're familiar with it?
No, but I've heard it.
No,
Yes.
they sell it in India. I don't know if they sell it in Fiji, but they probably do. But the Glaxos is pure glucose powder. I had every 50 feet, I had to take a spoonful of Glaxos or I'd fall over. Glucose powder, and it was like that's all that kept me going because my liver had failed. Fairly recently, I became sort of panicked, thinking, well, my liver was failed. It became like 4 times too large. And then when I left India, eventually I went back to USA. I went to a homeopathic doctor and he gave me medication, which he claims reduced it down to a normal size. I don't know. He might have been just shining me on. Who knows?
Try.
So in any event, I'm thinking some stuff to restore the liver right now because I thought, how do I know my liver wasn't destroyed? I'm just living on borrowed time with the liver that's about to go south.
Right.
Anyhow, that's not a topic for tonight.
Okay, Jayapataka was in Calcutta in 1970. Okay, July 26th, 1970.
That's when he arrived in Calcutta?
I'm not sure when he exactly arrived, but I'm just searching the archives of the letters. So one letter from Srila Prabhupada dated July 26, 1970, Calcutta. My dear Jayapataka, Prabhupada is saying.
Where was he writing it from?
He was writing from Los Angeles.
In 1970?
Yeah.
Takes like 2 weeks for a letter to arrive.
Yeah.
So, okay, what did he say roughly? Does she give a clue?
Well, let me project it on the screen, then I'll just read it. Where is it? So here it is, Calcutta. My dear Jayapataka, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter on July 20th, 1970, and noted the contents. But
that's July 20th. What is this one? Is what the date? This is July 7th. No, 26th. July 26th.
Yeah, July 26th. What did I say?
And okay. What was Pataka's letter dated? What time?
July 26th. He got it.
Is that possible?
Or maybe this letter was written to Jayapataka July 26, 1970. I'm not sure when he got it, but it's archived,
Yeah, it doesn't say when Jayapataka wrote his letter.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is really my problem. Okay, good.
Okay, so Prabhupada says, my dear Jay Pataka, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 20th July 1970. Okay, okay, Prabhupada is saying he got his letter 20th July 1970. He sent a reply July 26th to Jay Pataka. And
What day? When did he receive it in 1970?
July 20th.
Okay, so a few days later he responded.
Yes, yes. Anyways, I'm hoping against hope that very soon we shall have a nice place at Calcutta or Mayapur. So you were saying Jay Pataka was running Calcutta, right?
Yeah.
In 1971, at least.
Well,
Kindly,
when I got there, yeah.
yes. So, okay. Kindly keep me informed of your activities at least twice in a week. Otherwise, I become very much anxious, and due to my blood pressure, sometimes do not eat, do not sleep. I am just trying to organize a worldwide movement, not for any personal ambition, but to execute superior orders. And by the grace of Krishna, we are getting good encouragement. So I request that all my students to cooperate fully. As soon as I hear from you that we have got some place, immediately I shall go to India for a change with 2 sannyasis. Recently, I have given sannyas order of life to 6 brahmacharis. They have been sent in different parts of the country for preaching work, and 2 of them might too, 2 of them might too with me to join you. So immediately we require a place of our own. I'm very glad that Achyuta Nandana is doing nice preaching work. Offer my blessings to him, and I wish to hear from him also with your next letter. Prabhupada says, hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.
So that proves one thing, that at that date, he did not have the place on Shakespeare Sorani that I went to
Yes.
when I came to India.
Yes, yes.
It was a very amazing place. It
Yeah,
had
so
something to do with an estate, but it was just part of it.
try. So yeah, we're doing some investigative work here. So okay. Okay, so let me stop screen share. So I think we have come to the end. This last part was very interesting, from 10 o'clock to 10:21 now. So
Yeah.
the letter got answered, and these persons are still present. This Garga Muni, I'm trying to talk to him on Facebook, but he's dodging the bullet. He's saying I'm too old, I cannot type. Something, I don't have a smartphone, this, that. So let's see if he bites or not. I think
Oh, mention my name.
I did mention your name.
Hare Krishna,
maybe
Prabhuji.
that was the problem. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe that is it. Hare Krishna, Hardik Prabhu. Nice to have you. Sorry, we're just keeping talking and stuff. You're listening. So please, it's your turn now. Please speak if you like.
Who's on?
Hardik. Okay, looks like he won't be speaking, but he has said Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, you can ask your question, Hardik Prabhu. Now's the time before we sign out.
He asked if he asked a question.
Yeah.
Keep up on my screen.
Yes.
Does he want to ask a question? Let him ask.
He's not asking. He can unmute himself and ask. But anyways, then I'll end it here. You come to our next program and ask the question. It's going to be on Wednesday, then Thursday, then Sunday. Right. Anyways, Narayan Prabhu, thank you very much for your insights to this historical account of what was happening in 1970.
Yeah, I was quite astonished at how off I am on some of the dates. I thought I knew them perfectly, and it turns out I didn't at all. But in any event, yes, it was all there. It all took place. I read the direction of management from Rupanuga at New Vrindavan, and we pursued the 4 sannyasis from LA to Detroit to Boston and to New Vrindavan,
Jai.
and then pursued them out of New Vrindavan when we cut off their sikas.
And this is very interesting, right? After 52 years, right now in 2022, still Krishna consciousness seemingly seems like it's going on, but it's not actually going on like Prabhupada wanted it. You know, it's
Not, well,
I mean,
going on means people are chanting Hare Krishna and they're living in temples and they take prasadam.
yes.
But it's not the spirit is not there.
Yeah, the spirit is not there. Yes, yes.
I mean, I can't talk to anyone about Sankirtan.
Hmm.
Nobody. Who do I talk to about joining the streets every day and chanting Hare Krishna?
Nobody. Right.
Everyone's thinking chanting. Oh yeah, I sit in front of the deity. Oh yeah, I sit in my living room. I chant Hare Krishna. Now here he writes. What will be the first step? Did you read it?
Yes, he asked a question. What will be the first step of being devoted towards Lord? I mean, what will be the symptoms? Why don't you read Prabhupada's books? It talks about that very clearly. At least the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita.
The thing is that once you get a touch or a taste, it's like drinking some nectar. You become addicted. You take one sip of nectar, and you say, "That's not bad. That's actually good. Actually, that's fantastic. It's wonderful." Then what do you want next? Another sip, right? So if that's the answer, you keep chanting and with open consciousness, open heart, open mind, without thinking, without expectation, without looking for Krishna hiding behind the sofa, and you chant. And when you get to the point, it will become exciting each time you touch your beads or have your kirtan. Is Mohit still on, or he took off?
No, it's just me and you right now. That's it.
Okay. Well, we accomplished quite a bit.
Jai. Yes.
So that's on paper. Oh, he says, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Nectar, that's the question, answer to the question. So that paper,